Hello everybody and welcome to the United States of America. This is the Monster Energy MXGP of the USA. We're at a brand new venue here at the WW Motocross Park in Jacksonville, Florida. And it's a pretty warm one as well. We had a spell of overnight rain and the track is looking pretty soft in places. On the whole, it's in very, very good condition, I think. We'll ask our first guest in a moment what he thinks about it. But before we go any further though, quick mention, we've got a great show lined up. We've got Jeffrey Hurlings, Eli Tomac, and we did have Cooper Webb, but more on that in a moment as the show goes on. But Lisa Leyland, we're in the USA,
yep.
And we're in Florida. It's, other than the cold weather, it's all right, isn't it?
It's been a bit chilly, it has this weekend, but yeah, it's been good. It's been busy though, hasn't it? It's like we've had 6 races in 7 weeks, and it's, you know, back to back. We're in Assen, we're in France at the end of the year, and it's, yeah, it's a busy time, but it's going like that, isn't it? It's going really quickly.
Flying. Well, I tell you what, let's get on with the show, though. And our first guest is here from Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, Jeffrey Hurlings. Jeffrey, welcome to our studio show. The second time this year. But first of all, I want to say congratulations on your performance last week at the US National at the Ironman. From that point of view, you went 1-1. It was the overall day. You're the only guy in history that's ever had a perfect score. You were Mr. Perfect. But being seriously, did the performance surprise you?
I had one shot, so I had to do it right the first time. And we were fastest both practices, and then we won both motos. So very pumped with that, man. I appreciate all the fans, you know, who have been supporting me from Europe and from the other side of the pond in America. You know, there it was I had some nerves, you know. People had high expectations, but I did what I had to do.
Yeah, and in terms of, you know, you came over early, you did that race. How's the rest of your time been here in the USA? Have you had a chance to ride much since then?
Actually, I rode more than I ride at home, and damn, I ride a lot at home too. So, you know, I've been with Alden Baker for 2 weeks now, and we did a lot of riding, and get used to the heat. I mean, today it's a bit rainy here in Florida, but normally it's really hot and humid. So today the temperature is pretty fine. So, but normally will be more hot tomorrow. But no, I did a lot of riding and really enjoyed my time here in the US. Good.
Jeffrey, when you last came on the studio show in April, we joked, what have you done with Jeffrey Hurlings, that you were an imposter. But it seems that the real Jeffrey Hurlings is back now, and he has been for a while, hasn't he?
He was on a holiday in April.
He was on
a holiday. But no, we're good now. I mean, we are back where we belong. You know, I think you know, we've been struggling in the beginning of the season, and in the middle of the season we were decent, we were good. We've been winning some motos and stuff, and no, I'm feeling good now. I feel like I'm in the best form I've been all year long. So. No, I can't wait for the gate to drop tomorrow. Yeah,
well, like you said, you're in your best form that you've been all along, but you've had a good run of it lately. It could have been 3 GPs in a row had you not had the DNF in Sweden.
Yeah.
And instead of being maybe 70, 75 points off the lead, you're now 101.
Yeah.
Would you say your title race is over now? Is that perhaps why you raced last weekend?
Yeah, actually, we only decided on Sunday evening after the Sweden accident when we had a small mechanical issue, you know. Actually, there on the TV, you see, you know, I just passed Geiser and I was going for Faber, and you know, normally would have won the overall, so it would have been 3 overalls in a row. But then, and plus, I would have catch a lot of points for the championship. But because of you know, mechanical issue, I'm actually gonna get right now on TV. You know, we lost a lot of points because I normally would have had 22 or either, hopefully, most likely 25 points. So we lost a lot of points for the championship, and then I was like, all right, the championship is kind of over, so. Let's do something amazing, and I called Pitt the same evening. I said, hey man, now you need to hook me up with a bike in the US, so that's what we did.
Just you know, thinking about how things have gone and everything else, you know, where you just said, you know, it wasn't the best start.
Yeah.
Would you say now, where you, up until Sweden and how things were going, would you say this has kind of been one of the best performances of your career, because you've had to face adversity, you've had to really, really dig deep. It hasn't been easy, and you know, I guess from that side you can look at it with some kind of pride.
Yeah, I do actually, because you know, I was in a deep hole. Obviously, I've had injuries, but I never was in the thing that I just couldn't hang on the pace. You know, I was just fighting for 15th place with 15th place guys. You know, I don't want to be disrespectful, but normally I shouldn't be there. So. But you know, I came through the deep hole, and once I was fully healthy, you know, I got back on the podiums and got back to winning motos, and you know, it just, man, it's a shame. You know, the first 5 rounds, I think that's what costed me the championship. But it is what it is, and now I have to make the best of the second part of the season, and we'll be good if we still can come in second in the championship, and then I mean, we still made from a bad year still. okay year, let's say it that way.
Just looking at that battle there, you and Tony and Lommel.
It was fun.
Big win for you? In terms of where you were in the championship at the time?
Yeah, because I knew definitely after what happened in Altabiano when I was very sick and then I fainted after the second moto, I almost dropped dead. I was just overheated. I was scooped. So, they beat me, so I had a point to prove, and that's what I did. I came there and with high expectations, and I was there like, I want to go and win. And Tony was with the same mentality, and he maybe said afterwards, yeah, he thought about the championship, but I know 100% he didn't, because he fought for the 100%. So it was fun, and really enjoyed it. And he beat me a couple of times. I beat him there fair and square too. That was nice.
Okay, well, we've got some questions on social media for you, Jeffrey.
Yes.
The first one's from Wes ESW, and he says, what are the biggest differences between the bike you had to race last week in the USA compared to your race bike here?
Actually, there were a lot of different things. Mainly was the engine and the fuel and the mapping, because with American fuel, which we're not able to run in the World Championship normally, we had to have a different mapping, so you get a complete different feeling on the bike. And then you had to choose between mappings. They have a lot of mappings in KTM, so you can choose out of a lot of power, less power. There's so many variable things, but I had only one day to test the bike. Then with the engine, because of the fuel, you get a different feeling in the engine too. So you can ride with different cams in the engine and change the compression. So yeah, everything regarding the engine was a bit different, just all because of the fuel, pretty much.
Okay, I hope that answered your question. Second question is from C. Roed25, and I know you mentioned Alden Baker earlier, and he says, are you going to train with Alden Baker in the off-season? Thank you for answering, and best regards from Christian, he says.
For the moment, we've got nothing planned. I mean, man, the guy is awesome, and he's really as strict as everybody says, man. He's, but it's good, it gives you a lot of winning mentality, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed my time working with the guy, but for the moment, I've learned a lot, I experienced a lot, and but I'll stick to my own program for the moment, and who knows, but most likely I'll just do my own thing.
Okay.
All right, Jeffrey, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
We are out of time, but before we go and meet our next guest, Eli Tomac, let's see what happened in Sweden a couple of weeks ago. Here's highlights from MX2 Race 2. In MX2 Race 2, it was once again the number 61 Red Bull KTM of Jorge Prado, this time with his 14th Foxhole shot of the season, and closely followed by his teammates, Paul Jonas. But Jonas and Seawer and Covington got into a little bit of a scrap on the opening lap. That allowed Seawer through into second. His teammate, Hunter Lawrence, was right there behind him for Suzuki World MX2 in third. Thomas Covington made a much better start. He was in fourth for Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, but Julian Lieber, well, he went upside down and back to front. He crashed out spectacularly from ninth. He would not rejoin the race. Prado led again, though. This time, Jeremy Seawer was in no mood for hanging around, nor too was his teammate, Hunter Lawrence from Australia. This was the move that got Seawer into the lead, though, on lap 5. And a lap later, Hunter Lawrence also followed him through. It was a Suzuki 1-2 at that stage of the race. Prado was in third, but not for long, because Thomas Covington also found good drive, made his move on the Spaniard, and went after the two Suzukis. After a long battle with his young teammate, Jonas eventually decided to park the Spaniard. Thomas Kjær Olsen wasted no time as well. All of a sudden, he was down in 6th place. Covington was the aggressor. He applied the pressure. Hunter Lawrence went down. Eventually came home in 6th. Seawer thought he was going to win this one, but there was a sting in the tail, because Thomas Covington, on the final lap, whittled down that gap, made this move on the final lap. Up the inside, the gap was 0.055 of a second. It was a win for Thomas Covington. Seawer second, Jonas third. The overall Grand Prix victory, though, was Jeremy Seawer's for the 5th time this year. Prado second, Jonas third. But heading into the US, Paul Jonas now has a 45-point advantage over Jeremy Seawer. Benoit Paturel is third. Welcome back, everybody, to our studio show here live on Facebook and MXGPTV.com. We just spoke to Jeffrey Hurlings a moment ago, and of course our next guest is here, Eli Tomac, Monster Energy Kawasaki Racing Team. And Eli, first of all, congratulations on nailing that 450 title a week ago at Ironman. I guess it's a long time coming, a huge weight off your shoulder. You know, like I say, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you, and it was that. It feels like it was a long time coming, and man, the pressure was pretty enormous just going into that whole weekend, and even after Moto 1, I was pretty disappointed because I had the chance of locking it up, and then I ended up literally not doing it by one position. That was when Seeley was in front of me, and at the beginning of the Moto, I had the fall too, but we got it done, and it's, man, it was something else, so it was cool to get that #1.
Well, we have the clip, the celebration clip coming up, but you know, as you said, you know, a big moment. But it's been a tough couple of seasons for you on 450, hasn't it? You know, since you made the transition from 250s, looked like you maybe could have won it last year or the year before. But you know, give us highlight some of the reasons why didn't quite happen and why it maybe felt so special.
You know, when you make the transition to 450s, a lot of people don't understand how big of a step it really is. It's just it's literally a whole nother beast. Yeah. It's a bigger bike, and then the way the things handle, and then plus you have to ride them a little bit differently too. And it takes experience. The best guys are in that class, so you have to step up to those guys. And like I said, just the motorcycle themselves are different, and you know, you got to be really in tune to get it done.
Right.
Well, last week there was a lot of hype with Jeffrey racing the Ironman. For you, how much were you forced to hang back and just let him get on and do his thing? And because I saw your post-race interview and you actually said that your ego almost cost you the title.
Yep.
So was that a strange position for you to be in?
It was tough, and that's what got me in that first moto. I was excited. I was having a good time. I don't know, that was maybe lap 2 or 3 there. And, you know, I was right there with them at the beginning, and I was excited because I felt like I could maybe make a little move there on the outside, and it ended up biting me. So that's when I had to really take the big picture into play there, and you know, just go out there. And I literally had to score 1 point in the second moto.
Yeah.
So it was, my mindset changed big time. But going back to Jeffrey, that was an impressive performance for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just looking at that, just real quick. When you're going for a championship like that, you know what I mean, and you have 2 decisions to make, don't you? Do you hang back, yes or no, or do you do what you've done all year? You have that racer's instinct just to go after the guy. It could have been Jeffrey, it could have been Marv, could have been anybody.
Yep.
Just so happened that it was Jeff. But because it was Jeff and you crashed, was that kind of almost like a little reality check? It's like, whoa, hang on a minute, the bigger picture is this.
It's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And I told myself going in there that that situation could easily happen, and it did. And that's why I was so frustrated after the first moto, because it did happen. Jeffrey went out front. I tried to chase him. I crashed.
Yeah.
So at least I was able to get back up, and nothing was too bent up. My clutch lever was a little bit down, but was able to finish out with like a 6th or something.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling coming into the Monster Energy MXGP of USA as the winner of both US GPs last year? I guess you're pretty excited and pumped to be here?
I'm excited. I love just the different competition and the different environment for us. Yes, we're on U.S. soil, but it always feels a little bit different, you know, than our U.S.-based nationals. So, shoot, you know, right now we have a little bit of weather that moved through, but I think the soil's going to hold it pretty well, and you know, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, more from Eli in just a moment, but time to look at this week's competition on MXGP TV, and it's in conjunction with MotoMaster. Take a look at this. This weekend at the Monster Energy MXGP of the USA, you have the chance to win with MotoMaster. All you have to do to go into the draw is name 4 riders from MXGP and MX2, so 4 in total, who use MotoMaster brakes in 2017. The lucky winner will win a complete MotoMaster brake set, MXGP3, the official MXGP video game, and 2017 access to MXGPTV.com. For more information, go to MXGP.com, our website. Scroll the newsfeed until you see the competition that has the graphic there with MotoMaster. Back with Eli. Coming into this race then, obviously you've got the title wrapped up, huge weight off your shoulder, no pressure, that kind of thing. We've seen how you can handle this event on, you know, 2 occasions at least last year, going perfect scores. But how do you see this one playing out? Because a lot of people are saying, you know, maybe Cairoli's in the same boat that you were in last week, going for a title, has a lot to lose, so maybe we don't see him at his best this weekend. But then you've got Jeffrey, he's pretty much said the title's over. Tim Geiser, former champ's got a point to prove. Roman Federer, same. And what about, you know, okay, we're going to say Cooper Webb, but obviously we're just hearing that he's got you know, an arm injury, so he's not going to feature. But how do you see this one playing out then in terms of, you know, who's, you know what I mean? It's difficult, isn't it?
That's not a trick question.
No, but it's just because, you know, you've got like, you know, when you listen to the keyboard warriors, they're all like, oh yeah, you know, Eli will be back next week, and you've got, what, you know.
At least this event, it's a level playing field, literally. I mean, for the track itself, I've never practiced here, ridden here. Yeah. So, you know, and obviously no one else has either that's racing. So, in a track sense, it's a level playing field, as is where if I went to, you know, an MXGP in Europe or wherever, you know, the riders have had time on the track, or vice versa when, well, Jeffrey came over here and did obviously just fine at our Ironman. We've ridden there, but normally that gives you an advantage. You know, you don't ride as timid the first practice, so you never know. So it's a brand new track, and yeah, you got to be ready for it.
Okay. Well, we've got some questions for you on social media. The first one's from Zed Farquhar Harson 90. I hope I pronounced that right. And he says, the season is almost over. What is your favourite thing or hobby to do during the off-season?
He's like, what off-season?
For me, I'm just an outdoors guy. You know, I do fishing at home. I do a little bit of hunting. I ride bicycles, mountain bikes. You know, sometimes if we can, we go out to the lake. So, you know, but at the end of the day, you can't do anything too crazy because you got to be ready to go on your motorcycle for that next season. So, anything outdoors, really. Yeah,
chilling out. Okay, now another question from Brino CB. He says, you recently said that you want to have a long career. Would you consider racing in Europe if you became a multi-time champion in the US in the 450s?
I will never say it's out of the question. You know, like I said, I enjoy this different environment, and it would be cool to literally travel around the world racing motorcycles. So it's never out of the question.
At somebody else's expense. Will you do any of the off-season Supercross races, do you think, this year? You know, like you have in the past, or not? Or are you just...
No, right now it'll be just time at home, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Right. Well, we're out of time with Eli Tomac. All the best this weekend, and congratulations once again on your 450 title. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And all the best for the rest of the off-season and next year. Eli Tomac. Right, before we meet our final guest, here's some highlights from Sweden 2 weeks ago. MXGP Race 2 highlights coming up next. MXGP Race 2 got underway in brilliant sunshine, and it was the Monster Energy Yamaha of Roman Federer with his 4th foxhole shot of the year, closely followed by Jeffrey Hurlings on the Red Bull KTM and the HRC Honda of Tim Geiser. Paul Ann was just 1 or 2 places further back, whilst alongside him was the number 12 of Max Nagel, but he fell after a collision with the number 25 of Clement de Sal. Up front, Federer was under attack from 84 Hurlings and Geiser. Geiser just getting himself into that 2nd place, edging out the Dutchman. Paul Ann was in close pursuit in 4th, so too Glenn Koldenoff, another good start. Van Horbeek wasn't too far behind as well. Cairoli, though, just catching 1 or 2 riders on his way around the first lap. Jasikonis nudging by the 8-time champ. Cairoli was riding very, very rigid all weekend long. The battle for the lead, though. And the Yamaha of Roman Federer in blue just about kept his machine ahead of Tim Geiser, but it was close. Geiser looking more like his old self. Jeremy Van Horbeek didn't make a great start, but he was already up inside the top 10. As Arminas Jasikonis was also there as well in 6th place, just behind the Belgian Clement de Sal. A big mistake and a big save from Tim Geiser whilst in 2nd. Allowed Federer off the hook, but Hurlings went around the outside. But 3 corners later, he threw a chain, and the Red Bull KTM rider was parked, and that would have consequences for the championship, no doubt. He took 10 points off his teammate in Moto number 1. He was looking to do the same in race 2, but all of a sudden, Lady Luck was looking over Tony Cairoli. Glenn Koldenoff, Commander Sal were doing their thing. 4th and 5th place. And the MX Panda eventually found his way into 4th, but it was Roman Fevre on the Monster Energy Yamaha who was pushing like we've never seen him push in 2017. He was going in pursuit of not only a race win, but also his first podium in more than a year. He was looking very, very good as well. Eventually the flag went out. It was Roman Fevre with his first win since June the 6th, 2016. Geiser, though, taking his first Grand Prix win since Mexico, his 3rd win of the year, and Cairoli is now 101 points clear of Jeffrey Hurlings. He could clinch the title next time out in the USA. Gauthier Paulin 3rd overall. Tony Cairoli will look forward to going to America to see if he can get the job done in Florida. Well, our final guest is in place, but not the one we had originally intended. Should have been Cooper Webb from Monster Energy Yamalube Chaparral Factory Racing.
That is correct.
Instead, it's team manager Jim Perry. Jim, MXGP rider have just been out on track and had practice, and literally at the end of the session, I learned that Coops was, sort of been taken to the Alpine Stars medical unit. What is the latest? What happened?
At this point, on the last couple of minutes of that first free practice, he had a pretty good crash, and he was taken to the Alpine Stars medical unit for evaluation, and we're waiting for those results right now, but it looks to be some kind of a wrist injury.
And obviously it's a bitter disappointment because the championship last week was done, and I guess for this one it was just more about enjoying the occasion and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that it was a fresh start, and we're looking forward to the new bike and looking forward to get started for next season.
And just tell us, what were your first impressions of the track when you saw it yesterday?
I think that we were surprised. I think when we first heard we were coming here, we really didn't know what to expect, but it looks like they did a pretty good job of getting a first-class facility up and running quickly.
Yeah.
In terms of Coops and making the transition from 250 to 450, it's not been an easy season for him, has it? He struggled a little bit. Why do you think that is? Because, we've seen the last couple of years Tim Geiser, Roman Fevre go from MX2 and become world champions. Everybody kind of expected Jeffrey Hurlings to do something similar. Didn't happen for him. Coops was, similar level. 2 of the fastest riders in the world last year on 250s struggled this year when they got on the 450. Why do you think that is? I know it's not as straightforward a change, is it?
Yeah, that's not an easy question, but, I think that for over here, Supercross is a big transition on a bigger bike.
Yeah.
And I think that he started to get the ball rolling, and then he had a crash and hurt his shoulder, and then that just kind of set the tone. He was a little bit behind the 8 ball, and just took a while to get things rolling.
Well, looking back to last year's race, it was a proud day, wasn't it,
yes,
for Cooper and, of course, for yourself? Is that a moment that you still think about? And what
I think that any time that the Americans win on American soil against everyone else, that's a big deal.
We have some footage actually from Charlotte because obviously everyone was hyping it up, the battle between the world champion and the 250 national champion Jeffrey and Cooper. This was the second moto. He didn't make a great start, did he? And
no.
Obviously had to work hard to get through, pass some decent riders on the way through, including Jeffrey and Austin Faulkner at the end.
Yeah, he last year he was firing on all cylinders, and being in home state that he enjoys being in Charlotte, just everything clicked for him, and he rode the wheels off his bike.
I mean, when we see that, you saw 2 guys here really going at it, right on top of their game. I think Jeffrey, more out of respect, really, probably, at the end of the race was like, yeah, I was already still celebrating, but, he's not one of those to admit you know, he got beat by the better guy. But I know he did later on. I know those two, you know, sort of got on afterwards. But a great spectacle for the fans. And as you said, doesn't get any better than that, does it? Hometown win and, you know, doing it in front of the home crowd. Last ride on the 250 as well before he made the switch.
Yeah, you know, I think that every champion wants to win every time they're on the bike. And I'm sure that was his goal. It's just I think Cooper was on his game last year.
I mean, moving into 450 this year, okay, we can, like I say, it was a difficult question to ask earlier, but how much pressure do you think he puts himself under to perform? How much pressure coming from the team, especially first year in 450, given his pedigree last year, you know, winning everything in 250?
You know, I think that he puts a lot of pressure on himself, and you know, he knows what needs to be done. It's just, you know, getting all the T's crossed and the I's dotted is sometimes not an easy feat in itself.
Okay, well, no Motocross of Nations this year, unfortunately, for Cooper Webb. I know he's been on the team the past couple of years.
Yes.
Why is that? And is that something that you guys are going to miss?
Well, for sure we're going to miss. It's an awesome event, and, you know, we truly enjoy the event. I do personally. But I think that where we're at in our schedule and where we're at bike-wise and things like that, we need to spend our time here in the U.S. getting ready for next season.
Okay. Well, we have some social media questions for Cooper, but I'm sure that you could answer them. This one's from Breno CB. He says, "What are your expectations for next year now that you've done with the rookie season, and how are you liking the 2018 YZ450F?"
Well, I can tell you that not only Cooper, but everybody that's ridden that new YZ450 loves the bike. It's extremely agile, it runs well, it handles well, and you know, he's really looking forward to riding it and continue to race it at the Monster Cup coming up in a few weeks.
Well, obviously in Europe we've had Sean Simpson, Arno Tonis. Well, Sean's riding it here this weekend. Arno put it to good use earlier this year, and everybody actually has been raving about it, haven't they? You know, it's lighter, it's slimmer, it has electric start, it's just brand new from the ground up. And when I've spoken to other people that have ridden it, you know, the stock bike compared to their race bikes that they've been riding, they've been more than impressed. And their race bikes don't hang around, do they?
You know, I think that's very well said. You know, I think we went back and forth with a lot of things, and the production bike is it's really good in standard form. Yeah,
and obviously I guess it's too early to say at the moment, but any plans to sort of like revamp a 250 up in the next couple of years?
I'm sure that those things might be in the works, but right now we're concentrating on this 450 and moving forward to getting that on top of the box.
Yeah. Looking at the circuit here, we had 2 outbursts of rain yesterday, blew through, did about 30 minutes or so yesterday, but we had a lot of amateurs on the track yesterday as well. And the track actually looked like it was in good condition. Had a big rainstorm through the night. Parts of the track were a little sloppy this morning, but I think on the whole the track looked good. All the jump faces were good. Have you heard any feedback from anybody in terms of how it rode this morning? What was Cooper's thoughts when he was out on the track initially, when, you know, coming in and out of pit lane, making modifications?
You know, I really don't have that kind of information, just for the fact that, you know, as soon as he had his accident, he's been under medical care and trying to, you know, that's the first and foremost thing that we're trying to make sure that he's okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think when you looked at the track, there was multiple lines. It was deep in a few areas. You know, that's challenging for a world-class event.
Yeah, obviously the original venue should have been Gainesville, but, you know, we've found a home here.
Yeah.
Seems like the crew have done a great job. You know, Junior, the guys who are behind the scenes have seemed to work very, very hard in you know, putting this on, because I think previously as a practice venue and a regional qualifier for Loretta Lynn's earlier this year, you know, when you look around, it is very, very impressive. And at the very least, you know, if we never came back again, which I'm sure we will, it's going to continue to be a great facility and a great place for the riders in this area to come and ride and hone their skills. It's another venue they can come to.
Yeah, you know, I think that they've done a great job in just, I want to say, maybe 8 weeks to get this place turned around into a world-class event, and I think they've done a good job. You know, it seems like they have a pretty good facility, and they're working hard to make it good for this event.
All right, Jim, thanks for joining us. Obviously, as soon as we hear anything from Cooper Webb, we'll bring it to you as well. But the early signs are maybe just like an arm injury of some sort. He's just gone for medical observation and that kind of thing. But we are out of time here on MXGPTV.com and, of course, on our MXGP Facebook page. The first race of the day comes up at 3:15 local time. That'll be MX2 qualifying, followed at 4 o'clock on air for MXGP qualifying, and then all the races tomorrow. Just MX2 and MXGP this weekend. And in the main class, the Premier Class MXGP, Tony Cairoli could clinch the title if he at least ties on points or scores at least one more point than Jeffrey Hurlings this weekend. So a big weekend for the Sicilian, looking for a 9th title. But of course, there's lots of other riders out there as well. Eli and obviously no Cooper this weekend, but the usual suspects, Roman Fevre, Jeffrey Hurlings, and everybody else. But enjoy the racing this weekend from the USA. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time in a week at Assen. Bye for now.